Welcome back, everybody. I'm going to make this lecture on Chapter 15, Modulation, as painless as possible. So let's get right into it. Modulation, what is it? Basically, it's when you change from one key to another in the course of a piece of music, within a phrase. It makes every popular 80s hairband song amazing. Like, that's the key element. Every Celine Dion song, modulation. It's all about the modulation. So we're going to learn how to do it. This is, let's see. So modulations all occur between closely related keys. This is the first thing to know. So let's see. So what a closely related key is, if we have the key of, say, like in 15.1, A minor, right? It's going to go to its sister keys. So a fifth above A minor, so the 5 chord, the dominant, right, is E minor. So that's one of its related keys. A fourth, or the subdominant, the fifth below it, right? D minor, another related key. Also related, it's relative major. Literally, it's called the relative major. C major, all right? And its relative keys of the dominant, G major, and its subdominant, F major, also closely related keys, all right? So all 4 of these keys are closely related to A minor and C major, and they share. And these also are relative major and minor keys, right? They both share a key signature of 1 sharp, right? So they both share this key. These guys both share a key of 1 flat. These guys both obviously share the key of no sharps or flats, right? So you can go to the left, right? To the left, to the left, to the right, to the right. So we can go off to the right and, add a sharp, or we can go to the left and add a flat, and these are all related to each other. All right, now if we shift it over and make, say, E minor our tonal center, so it's the key of 1 sharp, within that we can take a sharp away. Oops. All right, so its related tonal centers are A minor, and we can add a sharp. So this is 0 sharps or flats. Here's 1 sharp, and we can have 2 sharps, right? F sharp and C sharp. So that would be the key of B minor, right? So you can go down a fifth or up a fifth, basically. And then we can also go to its relative major of G major, which also shares 1 sharp. And we can go to its relative, or its a fifth below or a fifth above, right? So a fifth below G major is going to be C major. No sharps, no flats. These 2 are relative minors and majors to each other. They're related to each other. And then we can also add 2 sharps, G major, a fifth above G major, D major, which also shares a key with B minor, all right? So this is sort of its close-knit family. And these are the most common keys that it's going to go to. Just exactly likewise, if we have a major key as our tonal center, so say we're going to pick, I don't know, A major, all right? So if we have A major, that's our tonal center. The options for us to shift to are its relative minor, all right? So that would be F sharp minor, and then we can go, you go up a fifth to the dominant, right? So to the 5 chord, which would be E major. And then we can go backwards a fifth or down a fifth, which would be D major. All right? And technically this is, if you go backwards down a fifth, as we know, the opposite, it's going to be a fourth. It's functioning as a fourth in the key of A major. And of course this has 3 sharps. This guy has E major has 4 sharps. And D major has 2 sharps. So you can add a sharp, take away a sharp. You can add a flat, take away a flat. That's basically how it works. And then we do the same thing. We go to the relative minor, and then up a fifth from the relative minor from F sharp is C sharp minor, which also happens to be the relative minor of E major. And then if we take away a sharp and go backwards, so this is the 5, right? Here's 1. And if we go to the 4 here, right, from F sharp, go backwards, this is B minor. All right? Which also happens to be the relative minor of D major. So they're all one big happy family. What you wouldn't see is something like A major with 3 sharps modulating suddenly to the key of B flat major, right? That's not going to happen. It's too big of a shift. Too many jumps, basically. It's kind of like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, if you think about it, all right? So if you're an A major can only jump 1 degree, all right? So if we're jumping around the circle of fifths, all right, so we've got our circle of fifths, C, G, D, A, E, B, E, F sharp, and C sharp. All right, then we go backwards, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, and C flat. Okay, so if we're doing our circle of fifths, and say our tonal center starts at C, all right? And the minors are in here as well, just assume. But if we're jumping within a major keys, all right? So we can only go 1 degree of separation, all right? So we can go this way or this way. If we go G to D, if we're modulating from C to D, that's too many degrees of separation. That's 2 degrees. You know, C to A, that would be 3 degrees of separation. You can only jump in fifths. So we can go to F, that's 1 degree, or we can go to G, that's 1 degree. We can't go to B flat. Too many degrees of separation. That's 2. 3 degrees of separation. All right? So it's kind of like, yeah, the degrees of separation game. Let's see. All right, so that's just the common related keys. And it's not, I mean, these aren't the only options. There are ways, I mean, that composers can manipulate modulations to make it so you get from C to E flat. And there's some pretty sharp ways of doing it, but the most common ones you're going to see are within the family, within 1 degree of separation, all right? Let's see. So, there are, for you guys to, let's see. So there are tricks, 4 basic ways. Actually, no, there's only 3. The book only talks about 3. There's actually more, but that's for the second book. There are 3 ways that we do modulate within a piece, and you need to kind of know about all of them. The first is common chord modulation. All right. And common chord means that there's going to be one chord that suits to, it's suited to two different keys, right? So it functions in two different keys. So, for example, they give you the example of the Mozart Sonata in D major, and I'm just going to write this little tiny bit of measure 5 right here. Oops. Wrong clef. And then you've got a D half note. All right, and we'll listen to this so you can actually hear what it is. But, so this first beat, if you are in the key of D major, it's analyzed as a 1-6 chord. Now, this second part, this B minor chord, so we've got B, D, F, right? And these would be labeled as passing tones, anything that isn't a B, a D, or an F. So these guys are passing tones. They don't count. We don't think about them. But this B, D, and F, right? We've got B, D, F, right? And we know it's a 6 chord of some sort because it's the B's on the bottom, or the D's on the bottom, the B's on top. So in the key of D major, a B is going to be, a B chord is going to be a 6th chord. So you'd label it 6-6 like that. All right, so B minor chord. Now, if once we go on and start analyzing more, these chords that come after 6, like a first inversion 6 chord is not that uncommon. But after that, it gets quickly followed by a 2 chord, and then a 5 chord, and you go back to 6, 2, and then you end on 5, which is really strange. And you're like, this doesn't seem like the right analysis. That's because it modulated. And you can tell because if you reanalyze it in, say, the key of A major, and there are always some big sort of red flags that will tell you that something has modulated. Most importantly, you'll start seeing accidentals. And that's sort of like he's doing something here, all right? Here's the spot where it happens, the pivot chord, all right? And this is called a common chord modulation. So back here, we can account for those G sharps by saying that it modulated to the key of A major, which of course has 3 sharps in it, F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. So we account for the G sharps. And in the key of A major, a B minor chord is going to be a 2 chord, all right? So at this point, what we do is we're going along in D major, we find our pivot chord, and underneath D major, we write that it shifts to A major, and then we write the new chord, and then we continue along. All right? So that's common chord. It's basically when one chord can be analyzed 2 different ways. So this B minor chord exists in D major as a 6 chord, and it exists in A major as a 2 chord. Okay, so let's listen to that and hear what it sounds like.